I'm Melanie Dexter, the treasurer of Shaftsbury, and I'm calling this meeting of the Select Board to order at 6:30 on March 16th, 2020. And since it's the first meeting after town meeting, the first order of business is to select a chair. So I'm now taking nominations for chair of the Select Board.
I nominate Tim Scoggins as chair.
Second.
Any other nominations? You ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of Tim being chair of the Select Board, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, it's 4-0-0 for Tim, and take it away, Tim.
Okay, thank you. Second order of business is to elect a vice chair. Are there nominations for vice chair?
I'll nominate Art Whitman.
I'll second.
Any other nominations? All in favor of Art Whitman for vice chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, abstaining? That vote is carried 4-0-0. Does anyone on the board have a conflict of interest with anything appearing on the agenda this evening? No?
No.
No.
Tony?
No.
Okay. As part of our organizational meeting, as she indicated, first meeting after town meeting, a few pieces of business. First is to adopt the Select Board Rules of Procedures. This describes the duties of the chair in meetings and various other basic housekeeping parts of our job. It has not changed since 2013. So is there a motion to adopt the existing Select Board Rules and Procedures?
So move.
Moved by Art,
Second.
second by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? So the Select Board Rules of Procedure are adopted by a vote of 4-0-0. Are you keeping notes, Tony?
No.
Oh, okay.
You want me to?
We're going to take on faith that, as usually happens, our zoning administrator, Shelley Stiles, reconstructs the minutes from
Good.
the video the Cat TV is doing. We also need to decide on our liaison duties. Those are members of the Select Board who interact with other area government types like the school and like other officials of town to make sure that the Select Board is aware of what everyone else is doing. These are the assignments from last year. I have brought them forward with only a change of date. The members of the Select Board are the same, so we can adopt the same assignments unless someone wants to do something else.
I move that we keep the way they have been.
Okay, a motion from Art to adopt the 2019 liaison assignments for 2020.
Second.
Seconded by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. So the liaison duties are reassigned from 2019 to 2020 by a vote of 4-0-0. Next is the annual appointment of town officers. There are, those are mostly the same with one notable exception. I'll get to that. Animal Control, Tracy Mulligan. BCRC Regional Commissioner Cinda Morris. Energy Coordinator Ben Hewlett. Health Officer Jackie Myers. Deputy Health Officer Tracy Mulligan. Town Service Officer Jackie Myers. Tree Warden Jim Warden.
Jim Warden.
Should be Jim White, isn't it?
What did I just say?
Jim Warden. It's okay.
Okay. Jim White. I would be looking for a motion to nominate that group as a block.
So move.
Moved by Art,
Second.
second by Tony. Any discussion or other nominations for officers? All in favor of approving the slate of officers, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? And then Emergency Management Director, I just wanted to mention that our current Emergency Management Director, Jerry Madison, has decided after 15 years of service to the town that it's time to pass that torch. I wanted to draw attention to his level of service and what he's done for us over the years, including most notably a few years ago leading the effort that got the emergency generator over at the school that we were able to get for essentially free because of his doggedness in following that through. So we appreciate his service, we thank him, and we wish him well in his future endeavors. We have a person who has stepped forward to step into that role. Paul Denserow?
Dancero.
Say it again?
Dancero.
Denserow, okay, I want to get that right. Good. Paul, would you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll consider your nomination?
Paul Dancero. I guess the short story would be moved onto Colvin Avenue and started a family here in Shaftsbury in 2004. At the time I was still an active duty Army officer, so my family lived here off and on up until when I finally retired from the Army in 2015. When I retired, came into the community, joined the fire department, been an active member there, as well as I've been working at Mount Anthony Union School District as Director of Facilities the past 5 years. Getting ready to transition here in a couple weeks, so work in the town of Bennington as code enforcement officer. So a little bit in a nutshell about myself, but 2 children, wife, and just happy to, hopefully contribute to the community. Have a lot of depth in planning and organization, logistics, just based on my Army career. Worked at many different levels, plans, so hopefully I can be value added and part of the team here.
Welcome.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
Need a motion?
Yes.
I make a motion. Paul be their emergency management director.
Okay, we have a motion from Art to make Paul
Dancero.
Dancero. It sounds like an A, yeah. Yeah, okay, Dancero. As Emergency Management Director.
So,
Seconded
second.
by Tony. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? One thing I want to add here, and I think we should go ahead and do it tonight, Dave talked about it. Emergency Management Coordinator is like a deputy to the Emergency Management Director. Talking with Dave, it would be convenient for Dave Kiernan to be in that role because a lot of the emergency management process around here, when we're not in an emergency like we are now, involves updates to paperwork like the local emergency operations plan and the hazard mitigation plan. Dave generally ends up doing the lion's share of that paperwork anyway, so I think it would make sense. Dave was willing to do it, to be assigned emergency management coordinator. So if that's fine with everybody, we would entertain that motion.
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion from Art, seconded by Joe, to assign Dave Kiernan to the role of Emergency Management Coordinator. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So Dave Kiernan is assigned the role of Emergency Management Coordinator.
Tim, I'd like to see if you couldn't come up with a certificate or something like that to give to Mr. Madison for his 15 years of,
I think that's a great idea, yeah.
he's done an excellent job.
Thank you. All right, I'm okay with that. Minutes. We have 3 sets of minutes that have been circulated. We have the minutes for February 3rd.
Tony and I, and,
Yeah, Tim, Art on the phone, and Tony, so we got the three we need
okay.
All right.
to approve those. So is there a motion to approve the minutes for February 3rd?
So moved.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
second by Art. Any discussion, addition, corrections? All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? So those those minutes are approved by a vote of 301. We have minutes for February 17th. Present there, we had Tim, Ken, Joe, and Tony.
Okay.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes for 2/17?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tony, seconded by Joe. Any additions, corrections, changes? All in favor of approving the minutes for February 17, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining?
Abstain.
So those minutes are approved by a vote of 301. Minutes for January 20. Tim, Ken, Art, Tony, and Joe, we were all here.
Oh,
Motion to approve,
so moved.
moved by Tony,
Second.
seconded by Joe. Any discussion, changes, corrections for the minutes for January 20? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Those minutes are approved 400. Warrants. On top we have payroll warrant number 18 in the amount of $26,662.52.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony,
Second.
second by Art. Any discussion on the payroll? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? So payroll warrant number 18 in the amount of $26,662.52 is approved 400. They really won't get a new folder for this stuff.
Yeah, look at it.
It's just weird. And next I have check warrant number 24 in the amount of $79,665.79.
So moved.
Motion to approve from Tony,
Second.
second by Joe.
You get these?
Well, eventually, yeah, you can see all the other. It's actually.
So major items on this one include $1,400 to AK Agri Services, which is, I believe, gravel hauling.
Yep.
$1,000 to Aflac. $2,300 to Apache Salt. $6,800 to Apache Salt. $7,000 to Blue Cross Blue Shield. $2,300 to Bennington County Sheriff. $2,200 to Delury Sales and Service. $2,000 to Delury. To GA Bow Fuels, we have $1,300, $1,200, $1,400. Number of little bills here from Green Mountain Power. $7,000 to TAM for February trash services. And then to William E. Daly, we have $1,500, $8,300, $6,000, $11,000, $7,000. We've been dumping a lot of gravel, haven't we?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we have, like I say, a number to Green Mountain Power here. I'm not sure why we got 6 or 8 light bills. One of them was as big as $500. Any other discussion on check warrant number 24?
Mike, how much salt we got going into next year?
We don't use any right now.
Yeah.
There's probably 150, 160 ton in the shed right now.
No, for a couple snowstorms this
Yeah.
fall. Okay,
Enough to get us going.
okay, good.
And it's out of the rain.
Yes.
Yes.
All in favor of approving check warrant number 24, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. So check warrant number 24, $79,665.79 is approved, 400. Don't drop that.
Get her some tape. Duct tape this.
Duct tape.
Yeah.
It's beyond tape.
Oh, duct tape at work.
There isn't another little one underneath there, is there?
Oops, this one?
I just got an email from Joan that there, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, one shredded green folder alongside the other. Okay, thank you. This is check warrant number 23, the amount of $6,650.
So moved.
Moved by Tony, second by Joe.
That goes with that.
This looks to be annual stipends for DRB and Select Board.
So moved.
And, and the Fire Chief.
Wow.
Second.
Moved by Tony, second by Art. Any discussion? All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining. Check warrant number 23 in the amount of $6,650 is approved, 400. Yeah, that was a close one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun at Payto.
So does anyone have any announcements? We have a few. Several of them related to the COVID-19 virus. We have been reviewing our contingency policies here in the event of sickness, but what's happening is that we're getting advice that public buildings need to close. Town Administrator David Kiernan is recommending that we close Cole Hall to the public beginning on this Wednesday, 3/18. I'm inclined to agree with that. Is there any discussion or objections from the rest of the board?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Art to close Cole Hall to the public on Wednesday, March 18.
Until which time is deemed necessary that, or,
Yes, until such time as it's deemed safe to open.
okay.
Second.
Seconded by Joe. Discussion.
Could we-
By way of discussion, let me say that go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, could we discuss a protocol?
Yeah, we have talked about what to do in this situation. General rule is that the building will be posted as closed. No one other than staff who work in the building on a regular weekly basis, select board members with essential business, and researchers and attorneys who have made appointments with the town clerk will be allowed entry. So if you need to get in to do legal work, that can be done. All staff will be encouraged to perform their duties remotely to the extent possible. Those who need to be in the building are encouraged to set times in consultation with others to minimize occupancy of the building. The idea there is that if you're going to come in, don't everybody said, let's all go in at 9, that defeats the purpose. So we want to, if you need to be in the building, employees need to be in the building, we're going to try to space that out so people don't overlap. And we're going to continue to monitor CDC recommendations for keeping workspaces clean. I was looking at CDC relative to that just yesterday, and they are not yet making a blanket assertion that, for example, surfaces should be wiped down with a bleach solution every day. They're not to that point yet. So far, COVID-19 has only been established to transmit through the air from one person to another. It's known to live on surfaces for up to 3 days, but so far they haven't documented cases of where it's been transmitted that way. So until then, they're not recommending that we wipe down surfaces. Part of that is that people who have to wipe down surfaces with bleach, if they do that for long periods of time, they can have health effects just from breathing bleach all the time. So it's not something you do lightly. Relative to that, the clerk wanted me to remind you that routine town business like dog licenses, you can email or snail mail the clerk and she'll send you the paperwork to do that. You can get the paperwork online and drop it in the treasurer's drop box outside the building. You can do that whole process online from our website, so you don't have to come in to get your dog license. Water bills also can be paid online, or they can be stuck in the treasurer's drop box outside the building. Tax bills, those can be obtained by an email request, so you don't have to come in and talk to somebody if you're needing a tax bill to do your federal income tax or your state income tax. One other thing that Melanie brought up in an email today, you want to tell us what you were hearing about relative to help for people who are having to be quarantined?
This was just all of the clerks and treasurers talked to one another, and a bunch of them were talking about some towns have volunteers coming forward who want to be able to help, like distribute food to people who are self-quarantined, or so they have a bunch of volunteers coming forward, and then on the other hand there are people who are requesting volunteers, but there's nobody to bring the two together. So in that town they were suggesting that they have a designated email address to match those two up, and it would be monitored in that case by a select board member, but anybody from the town presumably could monitor the email address. It seemed like a fairly straightforward way of managing it. There were lots of other solutions. That was just one that caught my eye.
Yeah, I like that idea. Ideal situation would be if we had a volunteer who would step up, who would provide an email address and a phone, because a lot of people, I think, that would be in a high-risk population are probably more comfortable making a phone call than an email to request assistance if they need that. So let's talk about that. We'll powwow around here, but if someone is willing to step up and do that coordination, we will certainly help get the word out that there's a phone number and an email where people can get help. And also, if you're interested in volunteering to help get supplies to people who are quarantined, call the town administrator. You can find his number on the website, and we'll coordinate from there.
If somebody calls the number for the town clerk, can it be transferred to her house if she's working from her house?
She can check her voicemail from her house.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have the ability, I don't believe, to transfer it on the fly to there. Although we may. We have a pretty fancy phone system that we don't use half the features on. It's something we can check into.
Probably we ought to just make her aware that to check it several times a day.
Yes.
Yes, in fact, we were talking about that just as I walked up the stairs. She knows that she has that ability. She hasn't needed it. Dave is going to talk to her tomorrow and set her up with the code that she needs to access her voicemail from home.
Okay.
Good.
And the other thing I want to announce, you may have heard it by now, it seems sort of anticlimactic with Armageddon going on, but we formed a 12-town CUD
Right.
and Communication Union District, and we are up and running. We're having our first meeting as an official CUD this Wednesday, which will be a teleconference.
Good,
Yeah.
fitting.
Okay, item 8 on our agenda, public comments. Do we have members of the public who would like to comment to the select board?
Sure.
Come on up.
Right here.
Can you hear him from there? Maybe if you want to borrow Tony's mic, come up.
That full seat. Sure.
Okay. I think you probably remember I spoke at the town meeting.
I do.
Okay. And I,
Would you remind us of your name?
Richard Setzer, I live on the White Creek Road. I didn't do a very good job at it. I guess some people felt like I was trying to intimidate, but that wasn't the case.
I don't think anybody thought that.
Okay, I mean, the banner quote, I didn't hear that, but the banner quoted the person as saying that, I was trying to intimidate people, and that wasn't it. Basically, and the select board has the power to do this. This is not asking anybody to break the law. It's not asking anybody to go out and buy guns. It's just asking that the town of Shaftsbury get on board with several other communities that have already done so and designate themselves as a Second Amendment sanctuary town. Just that we're standing up for our Constitution, the American Constitution, as well as the Vermont State Constitution, Title 16, that gives us the right to bear and keep arms. So that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking to go, anybody go march on Mount Pillar, especially with things going on now. But I think that we need to stand up for our constitutional rights and as a town, together and doing that. If people don't want to, again, there's no laws that are being broke here. The town is just a symbolic move on the town's part, more or less saying that, we believe in the Constitution of the United States of America and of the Vermont Constitution. So, Pownell voted on it, their select board passed it without a big hurrah. Several other towns, Arlington has passed it. I wish I'd brought the map with me, but there's several towns that have made this resolution, non-binding resolution, to do so. So
Now, the benefits to having a sanctuary is other than, what the primary focus is to protect your right to.
well, that just saying that, that the Constitution was put in place for a certain reason. I'm not,
And we've got these rights now. that's
right,
what
we have
I'm
them now,
saying.
and I want to maintain them if we can, and I would hope that, the people would be on board with that. I'm not trying to push any kind of weapon design or anything like that. I'm just the right to bear arms. If laws are passed later on down the road that say you can't, they already have done it with limiting the magazine size and stuff like that, but that if more laws are passed, we have to go with it. But I'm just saying that if we can stand with the Constitution as it stands right now. I'm not saying if they present new laws up there, we have to get on and say no, but just to stand with the Constitution as it is.
So if this passed, would you expect the select board to encourage people to defy new gun laws if
Not
they
at all,
passed?
no, not at all. No. But I think you'll find that there's a number of people in Shaftsbury, they're gun owners, and they're people that believe in the Constitution, they're hunters. I talked to, Paul Doucette, who's the chief of Bennington Police Department, and he's at a training, and he was all on, I asked him to come with me here, and, he's kind of like crazy if you don't defend your property now with the state police carrying such a wide area. And I believe it used to be, when I was working on the PD, that most of the state police went in at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know if that's still true or not, and then there's one on call. Well, the guy on call could be on a call already over in Stratton Mountain area, because they're covering all the way over to that area. And if you're in Pownell or you're down here, we're looking at quite a wait time for somebody trying to come into your house or through a door. Pownell just had an incident during the day of a person being strangled down there, and 4 troopers had to travel from north to get down there to handle that call. So I just, it's not that our law enforcement doesn't do a great job, the law enforcement is so spread out and stuff. I just think that, me personally, I'm a hunter. I'm a target. I like to shoot targets, different kinds of stuff. I'm an archer, shooting crossbow. My family all is, and I just want to be able to protect our Second Amendment rights. That's what I'm here for. And I'm just asking you as a board to have conversation or whatever, but to either say yay or nay on it.
Okay. I'll just throw out my opinion. My opinion is I would, without hearing more about it, would be opposed to Shaftsbury taking that stance. But if another member of the board wants to have that put on the agenda for future discussion, we would honor that board member's request.
I would like to request that.
Okay. Then we will do that. If you'll contact me by email, you can find on the town website. I will
Okay.
let you know when that comes up on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. Treasurer's report, item 9. Melanie,
Yeah,
you're still here.
yeah. I emailed those to you, did you get them? They were the February 29th ones. Okay. I think we already talked about most of this. You want to go down to the bottom, there's not all that much going on. You saw there was a huge transfer, that was just due to from's money owed to the general fund from the reserve accounts that we've been writing a lot of checks on, so we've already discussed that. We go all the way down to the bottom. This is the same story we've been talking about the expenditures are just 2% ahead of where they were last year, and revenues are just about the same amount below. And the amounts are small, but that does mean we need to keep a pretty close eye on cash for the balance of the fiscal year.
Okay.
I think we're probably in pretty good shape, and I know Dave is keeping a very close eye on any unnecessary expenditures, but it's the same situation we were in last year when it ended up being fine. But I'm just going to, every time I come in here, I'm going to say we're keeping a close eye on it, and we are.
That's what we're supposed to do.
Yes, even closer than usual, this, especially with so many question marks out there, and have to assume that this is going to be disruptive to various
Yeah.
procedures. So we can look at the reserve accounts. Yeah, so the only credit there is water payments coming in. We're basically just getting the very last of the, I always try to avoid saying that they're trickling in, but I always seem to say it anyway. Just before the bills go out again in May. So those are just the last of the November payments still coming in little amounts. I don't know what's going to happen with those bills. That's another big question mark. But, so that's what's going on. The other the two debits are what I just mentioned, the money owed to the general fund from the reserve, those two reserve accounts.
Okay.
So you did already mention this when you were talking about the emergency plan, Tim, but I want to make sure that people are aware that the information they need that appears on the tax bills that they should have kept and that they recycled back in November, the information they need to fill out their taxes is available online. Just go to the town website where it says grand list information for tax preparers. You can find your own parcel, or you can search for your own name, search your own address, and the information to the house site value, the municipal tax for the house site, and the education tax for the house site is all listed there. You don't have to come to me. I'm not going to be in the building a lot, so do that. That's much easier. Alternatively, if you email me or call me, I will be sending them out the same day if your tax preparer says you need your physical bill. You don't, but some of them are saying you do. If you have payments to make, you can make payments online. You don't have to hand anything to me in person. If it's cash, you can leave it outside. I'd love to avoid cash if we can, but that box locks, and I'm the only one who has access to it. Otherwise, you can pay all fees. I'm trying to think, dog licenses, water bills, various other payments. Zoning, you can pay online. I think that's all I have to say. Those are the main things I do this time of year, so you don't need to see me, and that's the main thing. It's really possible to get by without seeing me in person. Any questions about any of that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, we were scheduled to get a presentation from Green Lantern Solar and a request for a certificate of public good on a solar field that they want to install. They canceled, they had some, I'm not sure what the issues were there. So that is canceled. Historical Society.
Can I,
Yep.
I noticed, I'd like Mike to take a look at where they're proposing the curb cut to get down into it. I'm kind of familiar with that, and that's a really steep bank going down. Mike, if you would just take a look at the map and... This is Saligani Road,
Yeah.
Murphy Hill, right there, right at the corner. They're asking for a curb, or they say that there's an existing thing there. Well, it really drops down over the bank. They're gonna have to make a curb cut if they're gonna get heavy equipment down in there and all that. So would you just take a look at that?
Yeah, I
Sure.
can.
Okay.
Have they submitted anything to Shelley or with zoning about this?
Planning, you went to planning, is that not
Planning.
right?
I'm sorry?
They have a letter from planning. Planning has approved it, is that not right?
I gotta confess, I haven't been through their packet. That's from our planning commission?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably not the best entrance. I know right where you're talking.
Okay, yeah,
Well,
our planning commission designated it as a preferred site. That is formality, recalling
That's
that
right.
our town policy and our town plan policy is that essentially all of Shaftsbury is a preferred site, that we won't put any additional restrictions on solar other than we would put on houses or other buildings.
So does this still have to go before the DRB, or is this?
I don't think it does. I think what they were seeking was a certificate of public good from the select board.
That's why I want Mike to look at it, because I don't think the DRB would have
Okay.
approved it, knowing what a steep bank that is going down into there.
Okay, good, thank you.
yeah, and then coming up out of there for the line of sight and
Exactly.
for traffic at that intersection probably isn't the best spot
Yep, I agree.
either.
So, but so we aren't going to vote on it tonight anyway, so.
so what happens next?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, we aren't supposed to, we can't stop it, but we certainly,
Can make a recommendation.
I would think upon Mike's recommendation, we would
So how do
ask
they
them
go
to do
about
that.
doing that?
Usually, when someone wants a curb cut, they put it in through Shelley and then she hands me the paperwork and then I just assess it and see what it needs, and if it's acceptable and meets our standards, then I let her know that I passed it and sign it and we go from there.
But in this case, Shelley may not see it.
Right.
Okay, yeah, good catch. Let's check that out and
Okay.
see if we can get that looked at, taken care of.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
We were hoping for the president of the Shaftsbury Historical Society to come tonight to talk about the potential sale of the Baptist Church, the First Baptist Church. Mitch Race has been traveling lately, and when he looked at the guidelines, they were that he should probably not go to public meetings, so he's called me late and said it didn't look like that was a good thing. He did send me an email with this information. Well, I thought it had that information in it. Let me look at it. This was due to my recent travels and latest advisory, I will not be attending the select board meeting. If you and Art would forward a list of questions to the Shaftsbury Historical Society, I will be happy to answer them. Bottom line is, we have 2 historical properties in town that need a lot of work. If we could sell the meeting house, meaning the Baptist Church, it would give us money to maintain the homestead, the Galusha homestead. We have voted to look into selling the property, and nothing is set in stone, but if a buyer was to make an offer, we would entertain it. So essentially he's saying it hasn't progressed any further than the information we've gotten through other channels, is that they'd like to sell one of the properties to maintain the other one, and that's about as far as they've gotten with it. So we had some conversations back and forth. Carl Orman was talking to us when we couldn't get a hold of Mitch about the sale of the property. It's probably not helpful for me to try to remember third-party conversations that I'm not sure I even remember
does not,
properly.
too.
So,
I-
but I think the bottom line is
I'd like them here.
it's open for discussion, but they have not moved very far with it yet.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we will try to get them back here. Next time we'll make an effort to get them in by teleconference or telephone if we need to do that. I guess we should have talked about it in the beginning. My inclination relative to, well, I guess if Cole Hall is closed, what do we want to do about select board meetings?
I think we should have them as we're having it today.
Barring illness, why not?
Yeah, that's my inclination. We're five guys with David Kiernan. The treasurer comes in for 30 minutes. That's usually the extent of it. 3 members of the public is a big deal for us. It doesn't usually happen. So, and I think the guidance that I've heard third hand is that it's something like public meetings of more than 10 people are frowned on, and it's rare for us to have 10 people here. We may, I don't know, it wouldn't be easy, but you know, if we could come up with a way for people to call in for public comments, you know, that would be a way for the public to still be a part of this without coming here. We have Cat TV, which allows
Yeah.
them to see us live. It doesn't allow for public comments, which is
Well, if you're live streaming though, people can message, right?
On Facebook,
On Facebook.
yeah.
But that would mean you'd have to have somebody here monitoring.
Somebody monitoring the Facebook channel.
Right.
Well, Josh, you're monitoring the Facebook channel, so we could take public comments that way. I think that would limit it for a lot of people. I think if we really wanted to do it right, would be a way to take phone calls. But we'll think about that. Part of it may just be that it's going to be hard to participate in public meetings remotely.
We still got to do business here. That's
Yeah.
why I think we should.
Yeah, we need
we've
to,
still got to
yeah.
meet.
Yeah.
It's important that Paul knows what's going on all the time. You know, that we still got to make decisions.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, people are still going and buying groceries, so it's not like there are no public meetings happening. Paul?
I just kind of, always plan for, then maybe a week before, reassess whatever the conditions are, if something's
Sure.
changed or
Yep.
need to modify, that could be a way to go about it.
Right, right.
And there's not much on TV, so.
Yeah, yeah, we got it all over Netflix here.
That we do.
All ratings are higher.
That's true.
Okay. Roads report.
So,
Mike.
can I
thanks
go
for
back to
hanging
the Shaftsbury, the meeting hall?
around. Yes.
So we're gonna try to get Mitch in. I guess the biggest concern I have is what are the restrictions on the deed, and according to Carl, I thought there were restrictions on its use if somebody bought it. So that I think is the biggest concern I have. I mean, I'd hate to see a 7-Eleven there.
We'll turn it into a condo.
Well, you know, Carl said, I mean, it's a very historic building, and there are a lot of historic things. He's just worried about somebody stripping it and then moving on, or, you know, that kind of stuff, so,
Right.
Want to
Yeah.
preserve it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we will continue to try to get the
Yeah.
Historical Society here. Mike Yanati.
How are you tonight?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Tell us about how, what you're able to do with the roads, given the weather which we've had lately, which I believe the meteorological term for is stupid.
Yeah, it's not very fun. Not at all. The freeze and the thaw changes so much. We've just been kind of getting by just adding gravel to the bad sections and just doing what we can. Some of the roads have dried out and we were able to spot grade, and some of the spots just we tried and then didn't really do that nice of a job. But it does help being out there trying to do something rather than not doing anything. It's not as bad as it was last year. A lot of the roads seem pretty good for mud. What really makes me mad is the potholes. We got a lot of potholes. And it's just no fix to that until we can really grade, and which is coming. It's not going to be long. I know.
It's supposed to rain Tuesday and Thursday. That'll help draw some of the last of the frost out.
And
What do you think next week?
I'm hoping.
Some roads will be dry enough to do a good grading on.
There's a couple right now that we could definitely do a good grading on, for sure. Granted, no rain in the forecast for the following day. We've been out right now with rain coming the next day, just kind of patching them up the best we can.
Yeah.
Just, it seems to help a little bit, and some spots it doesn't help, but we're trying. The guys are all trying the best they can. I mean, right now it's March, we really should be, I hate to say it, but usually be plowing snow right now, not grading roads, but if we can, we might as well.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that, some of that barrel wasn't all gravel. That was, just before it thawed out like it did, we filled the shed right up with sand. So, and then to go back to your question, our shed is split, so we have sand on one side and salt on the other. We got about a full shed of sand. There's probably 700, 800 ton of sand. And then on the other side, we got the salt. And then there's probably 150 ton. So if we don't have to use any, we got a pretty good start for next winter, for a couple storms.
Sand, did you treat the sand as you put it in there?
Yeah, and this has been a hard winter to really see how much salt you should be putting in it with it being undercover, because it really didn't get cold for long.
Yep.
So we really didn't, and we don't know if we put too much salt in, and sometimes we think we put too much salt in, and sometimes we didn't think we put enough, but we didn't, never really clumped up. And one thing that's nice is it's not a big pile, so you go through it pretty fast, which helps.
Yep.
There was something else I wanted to say, but we have on the agenda, do you want to talk a little bit of that?
Yeah, what we had planned for the agenda was to talk about the alternate work schedule that we normally institute in the summer, which allows the guys like a 4.5-day week. But then that whole discussion has evolved into coronavirus and the schedule associated with that. I know that some of the guys are having trouble with childcare because of the schools getting out.
Yeah, and we had a pretty good talk about that, and I think we got that all figured out for the most part with the crew, and alternating stuff, and if they had to work a Saturday or something, we're going to figure that out. But we're going to have to take that day by day for sure. I think even though everything that's going on, I think we'd still be able to go forward with our alternate work schedule too. If you want me to explain what I wanted to propose is we're a 6-man crew. 4 of us will do Monday through Thursday, 10-hour days, starting on May 4th through October 30th, and that'll be 4 of us, and then I have 2 guys that'll stay on our regular 7 to 3:30 schedule, and they'll do 8 hours. So we'll have full coverage on that Friday, where if we all went on 10s, there wouldn't be anybody on Friday. I know we've talked in the past, that wasn't something that you guys liked, so I feel even though with everything's going on, I think that would still be okay to go through with that.
Is there a motion to go to alternative work schedule for the road crew, May 4 through October 30?
So moved.
Moved by Art,
Second.
second by Tony. Now, the guys that are working the 5-day a week, does that rotate, or is that just the guys that like to work that way?
No, one of the guys can't do 10-hour days. So he said he just, it doesn't work for his family. And someone stepped up and said, I'll do 8s so that we can make this all work, which worked out pretty good.
Thank you.
And they actually happen to be the 2 guys that run the graders, so I think it's gonna work out just well. I hope, we're gonna try.
So in the event that somebody gets sick on the crew,
Yeah, and in the form I made up for all the guys assigned in there, I had a little disclaimer in there that said that I can alternate their schedule during the week. If we all had to go back to 8-hour days, or if someone had a vacation, someone would have to work, so it can be changed. It's not that it has to be
not
10,
set in stone. So you
Yeah.
can modify it as you go along.
if need, or if there's an emergency, or a lot of the times, other towns and municipalities in the state, the guys will go back to 8-hour days on holiday weeks, because anything over 8, you gotta use 2 of your personal, on a holiday day, you guys only pay us for 8 hours of the holiday, so we gotta use 2 hours of our personal or vacation time to make up for that day. So there might be a week where, like the 4th of July week, we might all work 8-hour days, so.
Okay. Also wanted to comment that I know some of the guys were worried about, if they had childcare.
Can we take care of this motion first? You got a motion on the floor for
The alternate work schedule.
Can we vote on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's related to the scheduling.
Okay.
That if I don't want the guys to worry that we're going to stop paying them if they run out of their personal time. We'll work with them. We'll do things like you were saying. Find a way into their schedule. Get them grading till 7 or 8 at night or on the weekends if that's what it takes to maintain the roads. But we're not going to be rigid about paid time off given the national emergency that we're in.
Yeah.
That,
I think the public should know that we may be doing stuff on Saturdays.
that's right, yeah.
There is a possibility.
Yeah.
They'll be happy.
Any more discussion? All in favor of allowing the crew to go to alternate work schedule for some of the crew to take a 4-day week, May 4 through October 30, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstaining? That motion carries 4-0-0.
Thank you.
Somebody sent me a picture of another town in Vermont with the school
bus?
the school bus.
I saw that.
Buried.
Buried, yeah. And the whole, all the school kids and everything were walking.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And Art sent me a picture recently of a Model T, I believe it is, with snow chains on it, driving in front of the Williamsack Inn in Old Bennington.
Stuck.
Just using the chains to get through the mud.
Sure.
Which,
1921, so
Yeah.
it hasn't changed, has it?
yeah. Okay, anything else on roads?
That's all I have, unless you guys have some questions about anything, or,
No, it helps. I mean, even this morning, the ground is frozen and,
Yeah.
there were chunks, but what you did was,
It helped.
a lot.
Yeah.
yeah, we had both graders out, and then I had the backhoe and the dump truck going around filling nasty potholes.
Yep.
So.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, there was one thing. that I noticed with the new town garage,
Yeah,
the entranceway where you go in, where the pillars are, the light that's up in the ceiling, it's kind of like hanging down.
is it?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw, it's wow, it's a new building.
I have to look at
Yeah,
that.
look
Which
at it.
one?
As you drive in, the entrance.
Right there
Right, yeah.
and the road.
It's, you can see it from the road, yeah.
We'll have to check that out.
So I saw it, it was like hanging down, I said, that didn't look right. I said, what the f-" I'll have to look.
I'm surprised nobody's noticed it, to be honest with you.
I did. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Okay, the third is to award a bid for building a shed. We put out a bid for 3 sheds. One for a new shed for Shelley at the transfer station, a swap shed at the transfer station, and a shed over by the firehouse to hold the voting equipment. David, and I forgot his reasons now, wanted to hold on the one by the firehouse for a little while.
I think I know why.
I know why.
They want to use the town garage for the next vote.
Oh,
Right, okay, okay.
It's a consideration, I
It's a
guess.
consideration, okay, yeah, okay, there's that. We wanted to hold on the swap shed because we're not sure when we renegotiate our contract in a year with Casella, which used to be TAM,
too.
if they're going to want to maintain a swap shed, because one of the options that we're considering with them is they run the whole thing like they run all their other facilities, not with a town employee in the mix. So we're not sure that we want to build a swap shed yet, because we're not sure we're going to have it for more than a year. But we do want to go ahead with the new shed for Shelley. The bid we got from Schul Construction was $6,500. And we had one other bid which was considerably higher. So I'd be looking for a motion to go ahead and move forward with that.
So moved.
This is just for one shed.
That's for the Shelley she shed?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Shelley she shed.
That's 17 grand, yeah. Okay.
It's $6,500.
Electric and has a heater.
Oh, okay, I was just going by my notes from the last meeting.
Yeah, I think 17 was for 3 sheds.
Okay, that's for all 3, because one's 5,000. And I had Shelley she shed is 17. I thought it was, okay, I had it wrong.
Okay.
Thank you.
I second that motion.
Moved by Joe, seconded by Art. Can we amend that motion to say approximately $6,500? I think, given your recollection, and Dave was working from memory when I talked to him on the phone today. But it's in the records. We have the bid. I just don't have it in front of me.
Okay.
So, a shed for the transfer station attendant for approximately $6,500. More discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So, we approved the construction of a shed for the transfer station attendant, which is approximately $6,500. Okay, Southern Vermont Communication Union District. The first order of business for us on the CUD is to get reps appointed by select boards and to then go about running the CUD. I have a standard form here that has been used in the past. I'll read that and ask the select board to sign it. At this point, we're assigning Tim Scoggins as the rep. I have a couple of people on the hook for alternate. I haven't firmed that up with them yet. When I do, I'll come back and get you to approve that. It says, whereas the town of Shaftsbury at the annual meeting thereof held on March 3rd, 2020, elected to form the Southern Vermont Communications Union District under the provisions of 30 VSA 82, whereas the town of Shaftsbury has good reason to believe that one or more other towns have elected to form the district at their annual meetings held on or near the same day. As I indicated, all 12 towns in Bennington County have voted to do that. Whereas provided in chapter 3059 of said, in section 3059 of said chapter, the legislative body or each member town shall appoint annually on or before the last Monday in April a representative and one or more alternates to the governing board of the district for a term of 1 year. And whereas provided in statute, the governing board of the district shall hold its organizational meeting annually on the second Tuesday of May, following appointments contemplated in statute. And whereas the select board of Shaftsbury desires to accomplish the formation of the Southern Vermont Communication District, now therefore be it resolved that, to the fullest extent permitted by the law, the select board of the town of Shaftsbury hereby confirms the action taken by the town at the March 30, 2020 annual meeting thereof, whereby the formation of the Southern Vermont Communication Union District was approved. So that's just stating 12 towns voted to form the Union District, so it has been created. The Select Board of the Town of Shaftsbury hereby approves the creation of the Southern Vermont Communication Districts, and it qualifies as a Communications Union District under the provisions of statute. The Select Board of the Town of Shaftsbury hereby appoints the following representative and one or more alternates to the Governing Board of the Southern Vermont Communication Union District for 1 year. The representative is Tim Scoggins, adopted at regular meeting of the Select Board on 16th day of March 2020. So I'd be looking for a motion to approve the resolution establishing the formation of the Southern Vermont CUD and appointing Tim Scoggins as rep.
So moved.
Moved by Tony,
Second.
seconded by Art. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, so that motion carries 4-0-0. And that is attested by the chairman of the select board and the town clerk. I'll get her to do that tomorrow. And then this is submitted to the clerk of the Union District. And Art, if you don't mind, go ahead and signing this and indicating you're the vice chair under that, just because it looked like I just appointed myself to the chair of the CUD. Okay. And the next item of business is a letter of support from Shaftsbury for the construction of a cell tower in North Bennington. Art, you were at a meeting the other night in North Bennington.
Yep. Verizon has been looking for a cell tower to fill in the dead spots around town, North Bennington, Shaftsbury, and all that sort of stuff. And they did a lot of research, and what they did is they put transponders or something on a balloon and determined that probably one of the best places in North Bennington was right behind the North Bennington Town Garage, which is on Mechanic Street. And they let a balloon go up to 100 feet, found out that the coverage was adequate, and then they made a balloon that looked like the head of the cell tower and put it up, and they drove around town taking pictures and all that sort of stuff. They did a good job of presenting it to the people. One of the problems of it being built on town property is that the entire town has the
Right.
input as to what goes on. If they had just talked to a private landowner, probably just a neighbor would be the only one that would be considered a party status, and that sort of stuff. Now you've got everybody on Mechanic Street, George Street, and all those other places saying, not in my backyard type of thing. And there was a lot of things being said that I don't think were true. One was that all the land values would go down by 20%. I don't know of anything that would indicate that that would go down. And then there was a lot of talk about the radiation, that it's gonna be harmful to kids walking to school and all that sort of stuff, and that's not been proven. In fact, somebody from, somebody wrote a letter saying that this research has been ongoing and that that's not true. I testified that for a business to be or just to even do business, we have to have communication, and there's so many dead spots around here and that sort of stuff. So because they admit that North Bennington is part of Bennington and they're part of this CUD, I think it's essential that they at least consider it. The way it would work is that they have one more meeting for the public to come in. At that time, the board considers whether or not to enter into a contract. The terms of the contract are not negotiable by the people. It's negotiable just within the select board and Verizon and the companies that's putting it up. It then goes, if the select board then approves it, the public has the option of signing a petition to override it, or signing a petition that essentially they would vote to see if they could override it. That's the process that we have to go through. Verizon admitted from the start this is probably the most difficult way to put up a cell tower on public property, but it was the best spot for aesthetics. It's going to be 103 feet in the air. The pine trees all around it are 90 feet. It's kind of tucked back in. The nearest neighbor is the cemetery and all that sort of stuff. So I asked him if the select board would consider Shaftsbury sending a letter that this is essential for economic development in our region.
Yep. Yeah, I have written a letter, and I would also just add that in my work with the CUD, I get probably just as many people complaining about internet service to the home are complaining about cell service. It's a problem. It's becoming a safety issue quickly, because landlines, copper is deteriorating, and without internet and without cell phone coverage, we're approaching a time when a lot of people are going to lose access to emergency services because they're not going to have a way to call.
I use the example that the fire department has to use a special satellite plectrons because we can't talk in Shaftsbury Hollow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this would guarantee that we could talk in Shaftsbury Hollow, but it would sure help.
Right.
Now, Verizon owns the tower?
Verizon would own the tower, and they have the option to sublet it to other carriers. It's always at this time, Verizon is the sole person building it, and so on and so forth.
Don't they pay you something to have that on your property?
They must. I've heard a number that is huge. In my opinion, the select board poop-out it and said it wouldn't affect the tax rolls that much. I disagree, but I've heard
Well, it's money coming in, they should have.
big money coming in my opinion, for just 100 by 100. They actually use 50 by 50 is what they actually sets on the generator, that sort of stuff, and of course they give a 50-foot buffer around that. So they're talking about something that's 100 by 100, that's all they're ever going to lease. And put a fence around it, all that sort of stuff.
If you'd like, I can read the letter that
It's a good
that
letter.
I'm suggesting that we send.
Yeah, it's good.
Dear trustees, the Shaftsbury Select Board encourages you to approve the proposed new cell tower on North Bennington Village property. Lack of telecommunications infrastructure is a restraint on our economy. Lack of broadband internet and cell service inhibits our ability to attract business and population to our region. Many people today see these services as essential to daily life and are reluctant to relocate where they are unavailable. A new cell tower in our area is welcome relief. Lack of telecommunications infrastructure is increasingly a public safety issue. Telephone landlines carried on copper wires are deteriorating with age and disrepair. Service providers have no economic incentive to maintain them and no plan to replace them with newer technology. Combined with a lack of internet and cell service, more and more areas are being cut off without even the ability to call 911 in an emergency. Better cell coverage in our area will enhance safety and peace of mind. For economic development, convenience, safety, and peace of mind, we support the new cell tower in North Bennington as a benefit to your village and the surrounding area. We encourage its approval. Is there a motion to send the indicated letter to the trustees of North Bennington?
So moved.
Moved by Tony. Second by Art. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Okay.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Better than wires.
Not in my backyard. That's
Oh,
okay.
yeah, well, I know, that's, yeah. Well, if we had a spot. Yeah.
Okay. We now have other business. I've got some from Dave. Does anybody else have other business they want dealt with? Okay. I believe it's all in the stack of paper. We need to renew the contract with the company that maintains our tax maps, CAI Technologies. I believe this is an annual contract. Yes, it is. The terms of the contract are unchanged. And so I'm looking for a motion to renew the contract with CAI for maintenance of our tax maps.
So moved.
Moved by Tony.
Second.
Seconded by Joe. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So that contract is renewed by a vote of 4-0-0. The next item is another routine granting of renewing of the liquor license for Paulins. And this looks to be like the same thing that we do every year.
Yeah.
Motion to approve from Tony,
Yes.
seconded by Joe. Any discussion on renewing the liquor license for Paulins? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? So that liquor license is approved by a vote of 4-0-0. couple of things here that Dave was not able to get to and got crossed off. So we won't be taking those up. Dave is requesting that we have a special meeting on March 30th, that's a Monday, to sign warrants. He's expecting that in a 5-Monday month that we'll
Yep.
get behind on our bills if we don't do that. Without objection, we'll schedule that for March 30th at our usual time of 6:30 PM. Should be a very quick meeting. Okay.
You want to do it earlier?
It's up to you guys.
No, you can't, you gotta work. What time you?
We get out of quarter after 2. When do you want me?
Okay. You want to do that at 5?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah, let's
5.
do it.
Okay.
5 o'clock.
Okay, we'll do that at 5
On the 30th.
on the 30th.
Okay.
Okay, action items that I caught, get an award to honor Jerry Madison Service as Emergency Management Director for 15 years. Mike will check on the curb cut for the solar installation. I will get the Historical Society schedule on another select board meeting, and we will schedule a special meeting on 3:30 at 5 PM. Okay.
Sounds good.
If there's nothing else, we are going to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter and several personnel matters and some a matter related to an ongoing contract negotiation. Looking for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tony,
Joe.
moved by Joe, seconded by
No,
Tony,
Joe seconded.
seconded
Yeah.
by Joe. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, so we will move into executive session.